Hi guys, this is Team 3 for Agile Project Management. My name is Usman Khan and I'm going to be sharing this meeting. My team members are Jordan Russell, Arushi Gulati, and Radhika Nair. So the app that we chose for the purpose of this project was Google Maps. We figured out a total of 9 user stories, and we're going to be discussing one or two of them, if time permits, too. And the purpose of this meeting was to figure out the affinity estimation and the story points for those apps. And let's get started. So first of all, before I start talking about the user IDs and the affinity estimation, I'm gonna tell you the point system that we chose for the purpose of this project. So the point system is highlighted over here. So we assigned an extra small 2 points, a small 4 points, medium 8 points, large 10 points, XL as 20 points, and double XL as 25 points. All 4 of us had a consensus on this point system. And for the purpose of this project, we went with affinity estimation over planning poker. We had a couple of reasons for doing this, and one of those reasons was that, first of all, in our opinion, affinity estimation is going to take less time as compared to planning poker, as well as I personally believe that affinity estimation is encourages more open discussion rather than planning poker, because planning poker is when you first put down your cards and you show it and then you have a discussion, whereas in affinity estimation, the discussion is open to all and there is no secrecy involved. So this was like a couple of our reasons why we went with affinity estimation instead of planning poker. Let's start with the first user ID. So as a commuter, we're gonna need routes so that we can get from the destination easily and on time. We can gauge how much time we need to get from point A to point B. And the input that we're going to require for this particular user ID is that starting location and the destination location. And the output that we're going to get from this feature is fastest route to my destination, the duration of my trip, and the arrival time. The team decided that this user story deserves a high importance and high urgency. Keeping that in mind, we figured out that the ideal time required to complete this user story would be 60 hours. The distraction time would be, we allocated distraction time of 20% of our ideal time, which came out to be 12 hours. Given our ideal time and distraction time, the real time came out to be 72 hours. We decided on a matrix allocation of 45%, assuming that there's an 8-hour workday. So assuming an 8-hour workday, assuming 45% matrix allocation, we had 3.6 hours per day. Now, having a 3.6 hours per day and a real time of 72 hours, the elapsed time came out to be 20 days. Now, I'm going to be starting the discussion for affinity estimate for deciding the story points for this user ID number 1 using affinity estimation. So Arushi, what do you think should be the story point? What should be the size for this user ID number 1?
Okay, so hi, good morning. In my opinion, I think we should give it a large for the reason that, keeping simplicity at its finest. We just require the starting location and the destination location or the endpoint basically, and thus it is one of the essential elements, and it, in my opinion, deserves a large point, which is a 10.
Okay. Moving on, Jordan, what do you think? What size would you recommend for this?
Yeah, that's a very good point, Arushi. But I would say that as much as it's that simple in terms of the given input and output to develop this, I think like because of this fundamental feature, this might, you know, this will give us more pressure to work on urgently and will require more attention because of the demand of the end users when, I think I personally, when we were looking into this project, I think that this is the main thing that I would need to have if I needed to look for my destination. That's basically the meat and potatoes of it. So compared to other user stories, if this feature will be the main component of this app, then this feature has to be bug free as well. So overall, with that reasoning, I would say like it's a little higher than large. So I would put it as XL, which is 20 points. And that is just basically my opinion to that.
Arushi, what do you think about that?
I think considering Jordan's point, it makes more sense since it's the fundamental feature. So, and again, keeping simplicity that I mentioned, I think an Excel would be fine. Like it should be good, because it needs to be bug free at the same time. Because since it's the main feature that we require from as in the input, so it should be bug free. And I think Jordan's point is correct. So I think an Excel is a good to go for this.
Okay, so you and Jordan both concur on an Excel size.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
What does the others think when it comes to this?
Yeah, so moving on. Radhika, what do you think should be the size for user ID number one?
So hey, so guys, I definitely agree with the points. Uh, Moreover, I think that it's actually like this particular user ID, that this feature is definitely the face of the app, right? So every other feature is probably like a secondary feature and
Mhm.
can may or may not be released or developed as fast or in urgency as this one, right? So I think this is like the main feature, like you all just mentioned, that it needs to be bug free. The secondary, what do you say, the features can have bugs, can be delayed, may or may not be that urgent if not released, right? But this is the fundamental feature that we have, and for that reason I think it cannot just be Excel. I think it's like ultra high important, because we need to actually have resources assigned towards it, just so that we can get it done faster and make it bug free, while keeping in mind that if this feature doesn't work, our app essentially doesn't work, right? And that's like this technically it doesn't work. The app doesn't make sense. So I think it's like ultra high important, and hence it should be double XL. Now, again, I understand that there's a major consensus on XL, but like I think it just should be like double XL.
No, no, that's a very good point. It's good that you're sharing those point of views,
Yes,
because at
yes,
least
I
two of
agree.
us have already thought of our point system Excel.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So 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 in my opinion, I'm gonna go with what Jordan and Arushi decided. So in my opinion, this user ID number one deserves a size of Excel as well. And Radhika, I'm gonna so my argument to your point would be that, okay, I get it that yes, this is the face of our app, and this is gonna be the most, and as Jordan mentioned earlier, this is gonna be the most used feature of this app. Since this is the whole crux of having Google Maps, you get from point A to point B. So yeah, and like you also mentioned that yes, this is gonna be the face of the app. Everybody's gonna be using it, so it has to be perfect at everything. But my counter argument to that point would be that, like, if this is what we know, we realize that this is going to be our face of the app, this is going to be our fundamental feature of the app. So we need to keep in mind that the resources that are working on it are also hired, keeping that in mind that, okay, they can tackle all these problems and they can get it done within 20 days. So I feel like yes, this deserves importance, but giving it importance of double XL, like size of double XL, I think that would be unfair to the rest of the apps. Since yeah, so I believe that this deserves a side of Excel. Radhika, what do you think about that?
Yeah, actually kind of makes sense, because I understand that the resources will be essentially like hired just mainly for this purpose, and then the others. So definitely they need to be trained and they need to be hired exactly for this particular user ID majorly. So yeah, actually makes sense. It is.
Exactly, yeah, because that's where I was coming from as well. That since this is gonna be our base app or fundamental app, we realize that the people who are also gonna be working on this app, they're familiar with this kind of stuff. So I have faith in them that they should be able to, like, I get it that this deserves the importance, but I have faith that that they should be able to like get it out of the perfect app perfect feature within like while keeping in mind that this deserves a Excel. So I
Okay.
think we all have a consensus over that the user ID number one deserves affinity estimation size of Excel. Could I
Excel,
get a
yes.
yes from all of you, like one by one?
Yes, yes. And Excel, yes, we all agree on that.
Yes, I agree.
I do agree because it's apt.
Okay, got it. Good. Thank you. I think we have time and we can move on to the next user ID. So user ID number four talks about how, as a commuter, I'm going to need traffic information so that I can view traffic situations and traffic times in real time. The input that we're going to be requiring for this user ID is going to be starting location again and destination location, as it was used in the similar inputs from the previous user story. The outputs for this user stories are going to be a bit different. So we're going to have a detailed route and traffic information as output. The team decided that the importance and the urgency, this is a high importance feature, but the urgency is comparatively medium as compared to the previous app. So we decided that the ideal time for this user story or user ID number four is going to be 48 hours. Again, keeping in mind a distraction time of 20% of the ideal time, the distraction time came out to be 9.6 hours. Cumulatively, the real time came out to be 57.6 hours. The matrix allocation time for this particular user story was assigned for 40% of an 8-hour workday, and the 40% of 8-hour workday came out to be 3.2 hours per day. The elapsed time then came out for, while keeping in mind that the real time required for this user ID is for 57.6 hours, while we have 3.2 working hours per day, the elapsed time came out to be 18 days in total. Starting with you, Jordan, this time. What do you think should be the affinity estimation size for this particular project, keeping in mind this scale that we already decided on?
Yeah, given the requirement for this user ID in terms of input, it's already given, and we've been using that from our main component or the fundamental feature, which is the route from point A to point B. So I feel that just trying to know the traffic information both on the same input would be easier for us to develop. Also, I would say that we already mentioned here that the urgency is medium because I think maybe only half or 30% of the end users would probably need this. Um, so if I'm looking into this, I would just say that I will put it as um, 8 points, medium for me, considering with the rest of our user IDs that we need to develop.
Okay, sounds good. Uh,
What do you
mhm.
guys think?
Yeah, Arushi, I'm going to move on to you. What do you think should be the
I
user like,
think,
affinity
yeah,
estimation size?
okay. I think Jordan's point makes sense here for the reason that, a medium as compared to the other user IDs is more appropriate. So a medium would make sense in comparison to the other user IDs.
Okay, so a medium and 8 points for you as well.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Radhika, your 2 cents on this.
So, very honestly, I cannot add anything onto it because that makes sense. So I'm just gonna go ahead with it because, like you said, we already have half the work done because of the fundamental user ID. So I think this is good.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Okay.
George.
And yeah, so like in my opinion, also I believe that this deserves a size of medium that is 8 points. You have the story points as well. And the reason that I would think of it because of assigning that is that yeah, as Jordan said, that not a lot of that many people are going to be using this feature. As Jordan mentioned, that maybe the 30% or less than half of the users are going to be using it. So we don't need to. It shouldn't be that complex since we already have like the inputs already. We've already worked on the inputs for our user ID number one, and we just need to like tweak it a little bit probably in order to get the required outputs that is the detailed route and traffic information. So for it's gonna be a medium and 8 points for me as well, guys. So I guess we all have a consensus. If I could get a yes from all of you one by one, that would be great.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Thank you.
Okay, so
Yes,
that's a yes
I
from
think I'll
Jordan.
go in with a medium too. Yes.
That's a yes from Arushi as well. And Radhika, I believe that's a yes from you as well.
I agree too. Yes,
Okay,
definitely.
guys. I think we're good with this. We're good with these two user IDs. Let me just put it down over here. So, so like we decided for user ID number one, we had an Excel,
Excel
Excel.
of 20 points.
20 points.
And for
Just
user
change the
ID 4,
affinity, Usman.
we went for a medium, which is
Just
the
a
8
second,
point.
guys. And for this, we decided on having it as medium. That is 8 points.
Medium. That is
Correct.
it. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, guys. I think we're good for. We've reached the agenda of this meeting. When we're good, I'm gonna be stopping the recording on this meeting right now. It was great having a discussion with you guys, and I'll see you whenever we get together next. Thank you.
Thank you very much. See
Thank
you again.
you.